Minkah Fitzpatrick now the highest paid safety in NFL history. He's the NFL's highest paid safety. We tried to tell the listeners and the viewers that this was going to happen. We spoke it into existence. We manifested it. Well earned for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm very glad to see that Omar Khan and company got a deal done in advance of the 2022 season before Minkah entered the final year of his deal with the Steelers.
Y'all don't have to like what Mark and I be saying, but y'all got to respect that we said Minkah Fitzpatrick will get paid at least 3 or 4 months ago. Y'all don't have to like my show of Pittsburgh, my shirt of Pittsburgh Wagner, but you got to respect the fact it's one of the highest trading cards you can ever get. Basically is what I'm saying. Stay tuned, pay attention to what Mark and I say on the Bleav It Network, because all we spit is fire.
I agree, Ike. And for the kids out there watching or listening, Honus Wagner, Google it. Most expensive trading card ever. So that's the shirt Ike's wearing on today's show. But Minkah Fitzpatrick, we said this was going to happen, and I look at what the players say, Ike. When I see that Keyshawn Johnson says that he is worth every penny, he's seen it all in his NFL career as a receiver. But I'm very happy to see that this gets done because, Ike, I know that Derwin James' contract is going to be up. James hasn't stayed on the field in the same way that Minkah has. Bates, the safety over in Cincinnati, is going to get a big deal too. So I do anticipate, whether it's next year, the year after, 3 years from now, that someone will break Minkah's deal. But you tell me this all the time about the Steelers organization too. Slow money is better than no money, meaning the 4-year contract extension worth nearly $74 million. I would anticipate that Minkah Fitzpatrick will see all of that money. And if he plays well for the next several years and gets back to that all-pro level, I would expect for the Steelers to sign him again once this deal is up after the 4-year contract extension expires in the next several years. But I'm very excited that he will be in the black and gold for years to come.
Yeah, Minkah 25, Mark. 25 years old. Leads the league in the most picks in a couple of years. Been all pro a few times. Make plays when plays are needed. But the most important part, Mark, he's always available. So, yeah, you can talk about your Derwin James and you want to talk about the talent. The talent has no ceiling when you talk about James. Yeah, you can talk about Bates all the time. The talent has no ceiling. But we're talking about consistency. We're talking about making plays. We're talking about when offense can't score an offensive touchdown, who you going to call? It's not T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt is the league's defensive MVP. It's Minkah Fitzpatrick. And when you get a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, and we had the head coach and Mike Tomlin on our show a month ago say he's seen this before, meaning I had these conversations with a Hall of Fame guy named Troy Polamalu. I'm having the same conversation with Minkah Fitzpatrick. So, yeah, he's supposed to get paid the highest at his position because this is the most important part in the best factor. He's always there. He's never late. He's professional. He's a professional, and he always on time. So every time you're looking for a play, who you call? You call Minkah. So all these guys' ceilings are high, and I get it all the time. But I didn't see this a lot. I didn't see a lot of guys with a lot of high ceilings, but they're never available. And what is Minkah towards all of them? He's always available. Even though the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't draft him, we said this last year, he feels like and he looks like he needs to be a Steeler, and it's proven year in and year out with Minkah.
And Ike, he was only involved in 4 turnovers in the 2021 season. But the reason for that, Ike, is because of the struggles of the front 7. He had 124 tackles last season. That's too many at the safety position, but it was because when teams ran against the Steelers defense, they were getting to the second and third levels consistently because it was a struggle with the front 7. Something I would expect it to be shored up. And then Minkah can play that center field position that he is excellent at and can be more opportunistic, which is what we saw in 2019 and 2020 when he was an all-pro. But since the Steelers got Minkah Fitzpatrick, he made his Steelers debut week 3 of the 2019 season. First in total QBR, efficiency, and completion percentage, leading the league. So the impact that Minkah has made on the back end for the Steelers when he can be opportunistic, when they're getting pressure on the opposing quarterback and they're getting a push on the front seven, he consistently makes plays. And sometimes it doesn't even always show up on the stat sheet either, right? And here's what I mean. Remember the final week of last season against the Baltimore Ravens when you absolutely needed a stop. Who was it that made the play? It was Minkah Fitzpatrick on a pass deflection. And that was the difference for the Steelers between making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. It's not going to show up as an interception on the stat sheet, but that's the kind of impact that you're talking about that he brings to the table at the safety position.
Yeah, I've watched a few shows, Mark, and they say, the NFL is trending more towards the offense. And right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dead last when it comes down to not cap space, but just paying guys on offense. But they should be. Because these guys on the offensive side, one, are still young. Two, they still have a lot to prove, to say. They need a new contract. And by the end of the day, we all know the LA Rams won the Super Bowl last year. If you watch some of the highlights on what Coach Sean McVay said on the sideline and who he kept saying repeatedly throughout the course of the game, Aaron Donald, we need to play. AD, we need to play. AD, we need to play. He wasn't saying Matthew Stafford. He wasn't saying Cooper Kupp. He wasn't saying OBJ. So by the end of the day, defense wins championships. Offense can make it look cute and pretty, but you're only going to win Super Bowls if you have a defense to stop the opposing team. And that's exactly what happened. So by the end of the day, these shows can talk about whatever they want to talk about on the league is changing to an offensive setting. No, to win Super Bowls, you have to have a defense.
Yeah, and I go back to a few years back when the Buccaneers and Tom Brady won it. I know Brady won Super Bowl MVP, held the Chiefs to 9 points and held the Chiefs' potent offense without a touchdown. What are we talking about, Ike?
Ivan and I was there for that game. So, again, you can say what you want to say. When it comes down to the offensive side, if you play fantasy football, they can win you a championship all day. But when it comes down to the playoffs and winning these Super Bowls, you have to rely on the defense.
One other point, too, with, I guess, the lack of salary cap allocation on the offensive side of the ball, and Ike, we've talked about this, too. Everyone on the Steelers offense is like 25 or younger.
Improving.
So why would they have a ton of money allocated to the offensive side of the ball when everyone is young? We don't need to list off all the players, but everyone is 25 and younger. You can look this up.
Correct. On the offensive side for Pittsburgh, it's really a gift because they still in their unproven years. They still got to show 2 to 3 years of consistency. So, yeah, right now on the defensive side, that's where my strength is. So I have to pay where my strength is at right now. And fortunate enough for Pittsburgh, being known as a defensive team, you have to pay a Cam. You have to pay a TJ Watt. Now you had to pay a Minkah. So that's what we're going to go at. In order for us to win games, guess what I'm going to look towards? Guess what I'm going to lean towards? I'm going to lean to my defensive side. If the Kansas City Chiefs, Mark, which is your home state, so say, I'm going to lean towards the offensive side because that's the strength of my team. So other than that, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm Omar and I'm sitting back and I'm the GM, I'm just taking my time on paying the guys on the offense.
I'm with you, Ike. Steelers, one of 5 teams in the league with 2 defensive players making at least $18 million per year. Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt. I'm excited to see what they can do this upcoming season for the Steelers. Ike, any final thoughts about Minkah before going on to the next segment?
Nah, Minkah, I'm so glad you got paid your cheese. So glad you got paid your cheese, and you ain't even have to be a rat.
There's a Ninja Turtles joke somewhere in there, but I love it. I will say this too about Minkah. The gratitude he expressed where he said there is a endless list of people that I could thank. The importance of expressing gratitude and appreciation spoke volumes to me, even just outside of football. I thought that was pretty cool during his opening remarks during the news conference to announce his contract extension.